What's the word? Why am I so stupid? Back up. Why am I so stupid for? What the
If you found the one, you should never give her up. I think it's the way life changes when in love, yeah. I surround my soul with the positivity.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Simply Yel's here. How have you guys been? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't mind my hair, guys. Honoured cut my hair for me, and you can see this is longer than that. So we're just gonna roll with it, but it's fine. I need my hair to grow. I posted something on Instagram on my stories and asked my audience and said, would you like for me to start discussion times with Simply Yel's? Majority, I believe like 82% or 83% said yes. So we're going with the majority, and I'm now starting this with my first video of the playlist of discussion times with Yel's. It's going to be about relationship experiences. In this like episode, as we call it, I'm going to be talking about my personal relationship experiences and how you should really go about like relationships, and when you're ready for a relationship, and how you know you're ready for a relationship and all of that. So we're just gonna roll with it. We're just gonna talk about it. So basically today's video is just gonna be the first in the playlist of discussion time with Yel's, and it's gonna be a relationship experience. To start off, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone, and I appreciate every single subscriber, every single like, every single comment, and I appreciate every single person that keeps coming back. I didn't think that I'd have this many people supporting me and supporting my, you know, my YouTube, and like supporting me and explaining, like telling me what to do and what not to do, and like telling me, you know, we want to see this, we want to see that kind of thing. So you know what, I appreciate every single one of you that have been supporting me since the start and still supporting me to this day. Yes, thank you. But yeah, so let's get it started. So I have been in like 4 relationships in my life. So I started quite young. Well, some people might call it early, and some people might say, oh my god, that's so late to start relationships and whatever. And the first relationship that I had, I believe I was in like maybe year 10. I don't know how old I would be. Probably like what, 15, 16, maybe. Nah. So obviously you get into a relationship that young, you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what you really want from that person, you don't know, you know, how they treat you is how they treat you. So you've got no idea what you want from a relationship because you're not experienced, if that makes sense. So if anyone out there is watching this and you are young, please take your time in getting in relationships. Make sure you are ready for what comes with relationships and the commitment that comes with relationship, because honestly, like, it's hard. And obviously at my age, when I was that young, obviously like 15, 16, I didn't know what I wanted from a partner. So how he treated me is how I wanted to be treated for the next relationship, and that's not how it works, you know, because the way he was treating me wasn't great. So let's talk about that. So the first relationship experience that I had, we met through like Facebook, I believe, because Facebook was popping back in my day. Nowadays youngers are like, oh, Instagram, Snapchat, and this that, and it's like, nah, Facebook was popping back in my day. He like added me, we started talking, and we met up, and we went on like a couple dates and stuff. Everything was going swell until he started acting like really shady. So I was like, obviously back then everything was about trust and getting like passwords and this that, and I wanted to go on his Facebook, and I asked for his password because he recently changed it, which I was like, why would you change your password for? Right? Because he had every single password to my socials, which I do not condone. Please do not do this. That is not healthy in a relationship, to be asking for each other's passwords. And on my behalf that was very toxic, you know, and on his behalf that was very toxic. So don't ever put yourself in a situation where you're asking for passwords and asking to share socials and stuff. That is disgusting, and you should be able to have your own life apart from the relationship. Just know that you're going to be loyal and you're not going to disrespect your partner. There's a lot of thunder, guys, so bear with me, I'm so sorry. But yeah, so I asked for his password because he recently changed his Facebook password. So I was like, why are you changing your password, kind of thing. And it took him maybe an hour to give me his password, to which I was like constantly on his case saying, why aren't you giving me your password? And he's like, oh, it's not changing, blah blah blah. And then then I was like, why do you need to change it? And he's like, oh, I don't know what my password is. I'm just trying to figure out what my password is and rah, rah, rah. So it was just excuses for a whole hour. And I was getting to the point where, you know what, I was like, I'm done kind of thing. I don't want to talk to you. And I hung up a couple times. We were on Skype. So Skype was popping back in the day because obviously we didn't have iPhones. We had Blackberries. What's your BBM pin, girl? But yeah, so yeah, it took him like an hour to give me his password, to which obviously everyone now knows like he's trying to hide something, right? So if you guys know, on Facebook, if you press the delete button, back in the day, I don't know how it is now because I don't use Facebook like that anymore, but back in the day, if you press the delete button on your chats on Messenger, bear in mind there was no Messenger back then, so it was just chats on Facebook, your inboxes. So if you pressed delete, it would archive the chat. It wouldn't actually delete it, it wouldn't permanently delete it. So when I got his password, I was like, oh, okay, all right, oh, I can't see nothing. And then I shared my screen because on Skype you can share your screen, right? And then I went to his archived messages. He didn't know, like, I went onto the messages before and then I shared the screen, so he didn't know how to get to the archive messages. And I showed him every single message that he deleted. I believe that he was talking to over 100 girls and he met up with about 5 of them in the space of a week. That's what you call a absolute boy. So I was showing him these messages, bearing in mind I'm like 15, 16, and like it's my first heartbreak. I'm crying my eyes out. I'm like, oh my god, how could you do this to me, rah rah rah, and you know, all of this. And he's like crying and telling me like he loves me and you know he's sorry and this that and all of that. So me being me, I was stupid and I accepted it, and we carried on dating for a while until he done it again, and I was like, I'm done kind of thing. So obviously once a cheat, always a cheater. It's your business whether you want to give your partner another chance. Some people change, some people don't, but he didn't. Obviously he done it again, so we ended it. That's my first relationship experience. So what we learned from that is, don't ask for your partner's socials, don't ask to share socials, don't ask for passwords. You know, it's uncomfortable on my behalf. If my partner now asked me for my password, I wouldn't hesitate, I'd give it, but then I'd be like, why are you asking? That's 1. 2, that's toxic. 3, you should trust me that I'm not going to be disloyal or whatever, because I haven't done anything to prove that I'm disloyal or disrespectful. So, you know, what I've learned from this is don't ask for socials. You know, because if you know that gut instinct that you can't trust that person, then maybe you guys shouldn't be together. And you know what? That's facts. We shouldn't be together. I had the gut instinct of I can't trust him. There was a lot of like red flags that I was missing and stuff like that. So what I learned from this relationship experience is the fact that trust your partner, and if you can't, there's something wrong. So just talk to them about it. The second experience was when I was 17. So when I was 17, me and a childhood friend recently got back into touch. We were talking for a while but we weren't like talking 24/7. It got to a point where we were like, oh, you know what, it would be nice to see you, because I was gonna fly out to Cyprus in like 3-4 days before we met. I go to Shisha, so me and a friend were gonna go to Shisha. He came to the Shisha bar and we talked, we bantered, and it was all cool. And then there started to be like chemistry between us. It was just, at first we thought, oh, it's just friends, chemistry, whatever. And then when I went to Cyprus, we were talking every single day. I came back and we started meeting up nearly every week. You know, we were friends. Obviously, my other friends started to see that we're not just friends, but we were like in denial. We were like, no, we're just friends. You know, there's nothing there. There's no like chemistry there kind of thing. We're just friends, whatever, whatever, whatever. I like disagreed with everything that everyone's saying. And we never really addressed the situation. So my friend said that, and when he came over the next week, I kind of initiated something. I was like, oh, like, you know, my friend said this and that we suit and we look like we're a couple and stuff. And we had this conversation and we decided to date. So we dated for, God, I don't know how long, but we dated for long. It was kind of serious. It was great to begin with. And then things just went downhill. It turned very toxic very quickly, and it just wasn't healthy. But I believe that he just wanted to end it anyway. So he ended it, and then for 6 months after that, he started threatening me, and it was just a very toxic situation. And he came to my college, he enrolled into my college. I saw him nearly every single day that I was in. It was just very, very toxic, and I'd go home and cry, and a lot of people got involved, and it just wasn't a great situation. So there's that. So you can tell that I've been in fair share of toxic situations, I guess. And bearing in mind, I genuinely thought he was the one. I genuinely thought he would be the love of my life. He was the one. All of the dreams that a girl can have. And he kept telling me that he can see me in his future and this is that. And it just didn't work out. And I'm happy that it didn't work out because it was very, very toxic. Looking back at the situation now, I should have woken up when everyone told me to wake up. And I never listened to any of my friends. And you know what? I should have taken their advice. And I apologize to you guys for not taking your advice on this situation. But I believe that I had to go through this to become the person that I am. So this kind of ties in to my next point. At that point in life, I didn't love myself. I expected love from someone else. I expected someone to love me for me when I couldn't love me for me. And that's probably why I got so heartbroken right afterwards. And that's probably why I was attached to him for the whole 6 months. That's probably why, even though he was threatening me and doing all of this, I still loved him. I still wanted to be with him and I still wanted to forgive him and then say, no, I can't forgive him or whatever. There's a lot of red flags that I missed. I didn't miss, I saw, and I chose to not see them. I chose to turn a blind eye. I chose to pull the covers, in front of my eyes and not see it because I was madly in love. And you can see that love does actually make you blind. It's not a cliche. It's not. It does make you blind. And I didn't love myself. So the next relationship I had after that, it was very, very quick afterwards. I think it was like a year later, I was in a relationship, like another relationship. And the relationship went great with this person, except he just wasn't ready for anything long term. And at that point I didn't understand because obviously I didn't love myself. So it has been a very rough start to relationships. But I just want you girls to know that you can't expect someone to love you if you can't love yourself, and if your insecurities are getting the best of you and whatever, please do not ever say, oh, I'm not happy with myself, so let me find someone else to make me happy, because they cannot be your happiness. It is so unfair for you to put your happiness onto someone else for them to make you happy. You are a complete puzzle and you shouldn't feel like you need the last missing piece, because you are the missing piece. No one is the missing piece. I just want you girls to know that before I get on to my next point. That was in like 2016 we broke up. So 2016 we broke up. For 4 years I was single. Me and the second guy went back and forth through these 4 years, and it just, as I said, very toxic situation. But because it was toxic at the start and I continued, I then put myself in that situation again. So we were back and forth for about 4 years. Like, we weren't in relationships, but he made it feel like we were in a relationship, then we weren't, and then that he loved me and then he didn't, and then it was just very, very toxic. It was just very back and forth, and I just sticked through it for some reason. And I kept crying whenever we used to like not speak and whatever. It was just very, very addicting because it was so toxic and because I just couldn't love myself because I was surrounded by people like that brought out my insecurities, After that, very recently, I believe last November, so 2019 November, I got into a relationship with a person. He was nice to talk to. I wouldn't say it was a toxic relationship, but in a way I wasn't loved how I wanted to be loved. The main reason why we broke up is because he was too busy for me. And you know what? People get like that. You get busy for the other person, but you should always make them a priority on your list. And as soon as you know that that person can't give you the attention that you need because they're too busy for you because you're not a priority on the list, you should know when to leave. I didn't. At this point, by last year, I started to love myself. So I'll get into that in a bit. So the relationship itself, we never went out. I'm like a homebody anyway, so I like chilling at home. I like cooking and like getting takeout and chilling and watching movies. But to a certain extent, I do want date night. I do want to go out. I do want to get treated how I want to be treated. And I just wasn't getting treated how I wanted to be treated. I never once received flowers. I never once, got the attention that I deserved. Don't get me wrong. I'm gonna big myself up here because I'm a very good girlfriend when when I'm with someone. So I'm gonna big myself up there. But we broke up very recently. I think 2 months ago. You start to realize a couple things in your life. You start to reevaluate a couple things in your life, and you start to realize that whoever you're with can't give you everything that you need. And when you find that person that gives you everything that you need and everything that you want, cherish them. So that's why I've come here on this video to talk about how you guys and girls, you should really love yourself. Because I was only in these toxic situations because I let myself get in these toxic situations because I didn't know how I wanted to be treated, and that's not fair on anyone else. So I can't sit there and say, oh, they're a toxic toxic person or whatever. Yeah, you know what? Some of the people that I've met, they are toxic people and they don't want to admit they've got tunnel vision. They don't want to see what they've done wrong, and it's always you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. But I never loved myself enough to walk away from the situation, and I should have. So I've come on here today to talk about this, to talk about my relationship experiences and say, you know what, guys and girls, love yourself. Honestly, because if you don't love yourself, please do not make it unfair for anyone else and expect them to love you when you can't even love yourself. It's hard. And you know what? When you don't love yourself, mental health is a very big problem when you don't love yourself, because insecurities rise, insecurities kick in. I just want to let you guys know that mental health is a very important situation in these scenarios, because once you don't love yourself, you start to talk to yourself in very bad ways. So the little thoughts in your head and everything, they turn to negative comments, and you start to negatively criticize yourself and say, why can't anyone love me? And this is just speaking from experience. You sit there and say, why can't anyone love me? I'm so unlovable, I'm so ugly, I'm so disgusting. And that's hard. To live like that for years on end, it's hard. Don't get me wrong, I've still got those kind of thoughts. I've still, you know, I still suffer from depression, I still suffer from anxiety. But I've learned to talk to myself better. And out of everyone in the whole wide world, you talk to yourself more than anyone else in the day. Please make sure that you are saying the right things, because if you don't, you can't expect anyone else to say the right things to you if you don't believe them yourself, if you're not saying them to yourself. Love yourself enough that you don't expect love from someone else, that you don't need love from someone else. And you know what? It's taken me how many years to actually know that, to actually, you know, put myself in a situation where, you know what, I need to love myself, you know. And sometimes the flip just switches and you're like, oh, wow, like all these years I've expected someone else to be the last missing puzzle piece, but actually I was. The love for myself is enough, you know. And when you're in a relationship, it's very important to also love yourself, because you can't expect that person to be your happiness. You need to be happy yourself. You need to be emotionally and financially and mentally and physically dependent on yourself, not the other person. You know, in a relationship, they should be able to add to your happiness. They should be able to add to you as a person, not fulfill you and complete you. You should complete yourself. It's very important, because in a relationship, that's why so many of my relationships, that's why so many of my friends' relationships fail, because they don't love themselves enough, you know. Because whatever kind of attention you receive from the person that you love, you're like, yeah, I deserve it, you know, I need this kind of attention. But no, once you love yourself enough and you talk to yourself and you tell yourself the right things, you will start to realize what you want and what you don't want. Do you know what? Take yourself out on dates. You know, love yourself. You are complete. You know, you are the full package. Learn to love yourself in a way where when someone else loves you, you would know what's right and what's wrong. So I just want you girls and guys to know that loving yourself is very important, because you are not finding someone to complete you. You are finding someone that brings happiness and adds happiness to your life, adds stability to your life. And if they leave, they leave. Goodbye, good riddance. The door's there, you know, because you love yourself enough to pick yourself back up and say, you know what, that's fine. That situation wasn't for me, and that's completely fine. Let's move. We Gucci, we move. Because once you do, you move differently, and you would know what to want in relationships. And obviously in these like past relationships, I didn't know what I wanted, and that was hard, because I expected the other person to know. And that's not fair. I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to say my last point. Don't settle for vibrations that don't move you. Don't settle for someone that doesn't vibe with you. Love yourself. And as I said before, you speak to yourself more than anyone else during the day. Please make sure you are saying the right things. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. In the comments, please let me know what you would like for me to talk about and discuss. DM me, my socials are down below. I hope you guys enjoyed. It's been your girl, Simply Yels. Thank you so much for coming to the end of the video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.